Have you ever caught yourself looking at your spouse, someone you've shared decades with, and felt a pang of annoyance you can't quite explain? Or maybe you've noticed a couple, well into their retirement years, whose tension is so thick you could practically cut it with a knife. What's going on behind that polite facade? Welcome to today's video, where we're uncovering 5 hidden reasons seniors secretly hate their spouse after 65. The word hate might sound extreme, but sometimes long-standing resentments, unspoken bitterness, and years of unmet expectations can boil to the surface in ways that feel suspiciously close to it. If you're new here, my goal is to shed light on real challenges older couples face, challenges rarely talked about at the dinner table. Stick with me until the end, because it's not all gloom and doom. Understanding these hidden reasons is the first step toward healing old wounds and reigniting a sense of genuine connection. Ready to dive in? Great. Let's jump straight into heading number 1, which tackles a root cause many couples don't realize is eating away at their marriage from within. Reason 1. Unspoken resentments. The silent weight of decades. Think about 2 people, Ben and Martha, married for over 40 years. In their early days, little arguments about finances, in-laws, or even dinner plans got swept under the rug because they were busy juggling careers, raising kids, and building a life. No time to dwell on small stuff, they used to say. But those unresolved issues never truly disappeared. Instead, they got tucked away like old newspapers in the attic, stacking up year after year. Fast forward to their mid-60s. Kids have moved out. Retirement is either on the horizon or already here, and Ben and Martha finally have time to reflect. Suddenly, the frustration Martha felt when Ben never helped with the housework in their 30s resurfaces. Meanwhile, Ben's annoyance that Martha always prioritized her extended family's needs over his starts to fester. These old grievances pop up in everyday conversations as sarcastic remarks, silent treatments, or pointed comments. Remnants of the fact that what was left unsaid in their 40s can echo loudly in their 70s. Why does this happen? Unspoken resentments are like termites quietly gnawing at the foundation of a house. You may not see the damage at first, but one day you realize the entire structure is compromised. Over decades, even small issues, like never agreeing on spending habits or who drives on long road trips, accumulate enormous emotional weight. Ironically, many couples avoid discussing these topics because they fear conflict or assume it's just not that important. But the longer resentments go unspoken, the more they shape how partners treat each other on a daily basis. Some seniors say it feels like they've woken up next to a stranger. The truth is, that stranger is the same person they've always known, just viewed through the lens of countless unresolved hurts. Maybe it's anger that you never pursued a shared dream, or disappointment that your spouse wasn't supportive at a critical moment. These emotional scars don't always vanish on their own, no matter how many birthdays and anniversaries pass. So what can you do if you see yourself or your partner in this story? Start by acknowledging the possibility that unresolved issues exist. If you're able, have calm, focused conversations, maybe with the help of a counselor or a trusted family member who can mediate. It's never too late to apologize sincerely, clarify misunderstandings, or admit, "I wish I'd handled that differently." The key is to do so with genuine willingness to listen, not just talk. If you're still with me, comment number 1 below to show you're tuned in and ready to dig deeper. Believe me, we're just getting started. In part 2, we'll explore another hidden reason that can quietly ignite resentment within a long-term marriage: the loss of identity. Especially when one person starts feeling more like a caretaker than a partner. Reason 2. Loss of identity. Feeling more like a caretaker than a partner. Have you ever found yourself looking after your spouse's every need, cleaning up after them, arranging their doctor's appointments, only to realize you've barely had a moment to consider your own wants and desires? We're now diving into reason number 2, a situation that many older couples don't see coming until they're right in the thick of it: loss of identity. It happens quietly, often beginning as a simple willingness to help, but gradually evolving into an emotional trap where one partner feels more like a caretaker than an equal. Picture Diane and Harold. They've been married for over 45 years. In their younger days, Diane pursued her passions: gardening, hosting dinner parties, and volunteering at a local library, while Harold took on extra shifts at the factory. Their marriage, by most accounts, was a healthy give and take. But then Harold's health began to decline in his late 60s. First, it was mild arthritis. Then came diabetes management, and eventually some mobility issues that made everyday tasks tougher. Diane, devoted as ever, stepped in to handle not just housekeeping and grocery shopping, but also Harold's medication schedule, his physical therapy appointments, and even tasks like trimming his toenails. At first, Diane was happy to help, telling herself this was the natural progression of a long marriage, in sickness and in health, as the vow goes. But gradually, she realized her own interests had been sidelined. Her garden began to wither because she was too busy picking up prescriptions. She stopped volunteering at the library because Harold needed her at home. Week by week, month by month, Diane's sense of self faded. What started as a testament to her love ended up feeling like a life sentence. So how does this dynamic lead to resentment, or even a creeping sense of hatred? It often comes from a profound feeling of invisibility. When one partner's role shifts almost exclusively to caregiving, they can feel as though their own needs no longer matter. Over time, any spark of romance or companionship can be overshadowed by a routine that's all about meeting the other person's needs. What was once a balanced relationship becomes lopsided, and the caregiver is left wondering, do I exist in this marriage beyond my duties? Or have I lost my essence entirely? It's not just about physical care either. Emotional caregiving can be just as draining. Imagine a scenario where one spouse battles chronic depression or anxiety in their later years. The other partner may feel obligated to walk on eggshells, constantly offering emotional support without receiving much in return. Over months or years, the caretaker's mental and emotional well-being can crumble under that pressure, fueling a quiet resentment that's difficult to express. The irony is that both partners can suffer. The spouse needing care may sense the shift, feeling guilty or burdensome, yet might be unable to change the situation, either due to health constraints or simple denial. Meanwhile, the caretaker feels trapped, but often pushes down their frustration out of fear that expressing it would be selfish. So what can you do if you recognize yourself here? First, realize it's not a betrayal to acknowledge your own needs. Seeking respite care, whether that means asking a trusted friend to stay with your spouse for a few hours or hiring a part-time aide, can be a game changer. Also, communication is key. Honest discussions about setting boundaries, sharing tasks, or even connecting with local support groups can help rebalance the relationship. When both partners, or family members if needed, collaborate to ensure caregiving isn't a one-person show, you stand a better chance of preserving mutual respect and emotional closeness. If you're still here, please comment number 2 below to let me know these insights are resonating. Up next, we'll tackle part 3, where we examine the physical and emotional distance that can grow between two people who share the same address. Sometimes it's not about caring too much. It's about drifting so far apart that you barely know who your spouse has become. Sound familiar? Stick around, and let's keep uncovering the truths most couples don't openly discuss. Reason 3. Physical and emotional distance, growing apart in the same house. Have you ever looked at your spouse across the living room and felt like you were worlds apart, even though you're under the same roof? We're about to explore reason 3, which deals with the quiet but powerful force of physical and emotional distance. This phenomenon often creeps in so subtly that neither partner realizes how disconnected they've become, until loneliness and frustration are the only things they have in common. Let's consider James and Evelyn, a couple in their early 70s who've shared over 5 decades together. In their younger years, they thrived on shared activities, Saturday movie nights, daily walks, and late-night chats about everything from politics to family gossip. However, as health issues emerged and energy levels shifted, those leisurely walks grew less frequent. Evelyn began experiencing chronic knee pain, which made outings difficult. Meanwhile, James started nodding off mid-afternoon and turned grouchy if he didn't get enough rest. Bit by bit, their routines drifted into separate orbits. Evelyn spent more time in her sewing room while James retreated to the TV in the den, often dozing off in his recliner. It might sound mild on the surface, but that gradual distancing can cause serious emotional cracks. When couples no longer share daily check-ins or physical closeness, be it holding hands or simple goodnight hugs, they risk becoming polite roommates rather than loving partners. It's not just about intimacy in the bedroom, though that too can dwindle due to changing bodies or medical conditions. It's also about emotional intimacy, the feeling that your spouse is the first person you want to share good news or daily frustrations with. When that bond weakens, resentment can bubble up, often disguised as boredom or a nagging annoyance whenever you're in the same room. One hidden factor is how aging bodies affect communication styles. Maybe your hearing isn't as sharp, so misunderstandings occur more often, or perhaps you're fatigued by evening, making deep conversation feel like a chore. Over time, either partner might stop trying to connect, figuring, "Why bother? They won't hear me correctly," or "It's too much effort to explain." This can create a self-reinforcing cycle where both people pull further and further away, fueling silent tension. If you see signs of physical and emotional distance in your own relationship, there are ways to reverse course. First, recognize that compromise is key. If long walks are off the table, perhaps short, comfortable strolls around the block can still be meaningful. Or replace them with another shared activity, like cooking a simple meal together or attempting a board game that sparks conversation. Second, tackle communication barriers head-on. If hearing is an issue, invest in hearing aids or try strategies like speaking in quieter environments without background noise. And perhaps most importantly, carve out daily together time. Even a 10-minute coffee chat each morning, free from phones or TV, can rebuild a sense of closeness. If you're still watching, please comment number 3 below to let me know these insights are hitting home. In part 4, we'll confront an entirely different source of frustration for older couples: how having too much time together can become a pressure cooker, creating more tension than intimacy. You won't want to miss it. So let me know when you're ready, and we'll keep going. 4. Too much time together. Retirement and the pressure cooker effect. Have you ever dreamed of retirement as one long vacation with your spouse? No more alarm clocks, no more deadlines, just endless days of leisurely breakfasts and peaceful afternoons? While that vision sounds blissful, the reality can sometimes be more complicated. We're now tackling reason 4, a lesser discussed but surprisingly common issue: having too much time together, which can act like a pressure cooker rather than a romantic getaway. Consider Susan and Charles, both 68, who retired within a year of each other. For decades, their work schedules provided built-in breathing room. Susan's office hours kept her away from home until the late afternoon, and Charles often traveled for his job. Their free time together was precious but limited, making weekends and holidays feel like mini-celebrations. Then retirement arrived, and suddenly they were both home, all the time. Initially, it felt like a second honeymoon: breakfast in pajamas at 10 a.m., spontaneous day trips, even the occasional midday movie. But soon, small quirks that were once overlooked became magnified. The way Charles chewed his food at lunch started to grate on Susan's nerves. Meanwhile, Charles couldn't stand Susan's habit of reorganizing the kitchen counters daily. Why does this happen? Novelty wears off, and the constant proximity eliminates personal space. In the past, each spouse had a private sphere: an office, a work routine, or colleagues to interact with. Now, every day revolves around each other. It's like cooking soup in a pressure cooker without a release valve. Even small irritations can build up into major conflicts. Personal habits that used to be endearing or tolerable can become constant annoyances. Furthermore, each partner might have a different vision of retirement. One may want to travel or stay socially active, while the other is content with quiet days at home. Without clear communication and occasional time apart, tension can escalate quickly. Another challenge is identity adjustment. For years, a job title or career path gave each partner a clear sense of purpose. After retiring, they might struggle to redefine who they are in this new phase of life, and they're doing it in each other's presence, 24/7. If Susan wants to volunteer at a local shelter but Charles expects they'll spend every day together, resentment brews. If Charles yearns to pick up golf while Susan imagines leisurely mornings reading side by side, conflict arises. Over time, these differences can bubble over, causing both spouses to silently blame each other for the mismatch. How can couples manage this pressure cooker effect? First, establish boundaries. Just because you're both home doesn't mean you must spend every waking moment together. Encourage each other to pursue separate hobbies, have solo outings, or maintain personal friend circles. Second, discuss retirement expectations early on. Don't wait until you're already stepping on each other's toes to figure out what you each want. Setting up a weekly schedule with pockets of alone time and together time can restore a healthy balance. Finally, stay flexible. Retirement is a new chapter, and it's okay to experiment with different routines until you find a rhythm that suits both partners. What matters is keeping the lines of communication open, respecting each other's needs for space, and occasionally stepping outside your comfort zone to meet your spouse halfway. If you're still watching, please comment number 4 below to let me know these insights resonate with you. Next up is our final installment, Part 5, where we'll explore what happens when spouses age at different speeds, physically, mentally, or emotionally, and the frustration that arises when you're no longer on the same page. Let me know when you're ready, and we'll continue unveiling the under-the-radar realities of senior relationships. Reason 5. Different ways of aging. When one slows down and the other still wants more. Have you ever felt that your spouse's pace in life is suddenly too slow, or maybe too fast compared to yours? You might want to travel the world while they're perfectly content puttering around the garden. Or perhaps you'd love to spend quiet afternoons at home, but they have the energy of a teenager and keep pushing for new adventures. We're at our 5th and final reason, which revolves around mismatched energy levels and differing visions of how to spend your golden years. Imagine Karen and Robert, both 72. In many ways, they've led parallel lives, raising 3 children, building solid careers, and planning for an active retirement. Yet as their 70s rolled in, Karen found herself enamored with the idea of extensive travel, signing up for guided trips in Europe, cooking classes in Italy, and even an African safari. Robert, on the other hand, discovered a newfound love for quiet mornings in his workshop, tinkering with woodworking projects and indulging in daily naps. Whenever Karen tried coaxing him onto an airplane, Robert balked, grumbling about long flights and hectic itineraries. Slowly, Karen felt stifled by Robert's apparent lack of enthusiasm. Robert, meanwhile, grew tired of Karen's constant suggestions to get out of the house and felt guilty for not sharing her adventurous spirit. Resentment brewed under the surface. Karen thought, "He's holding me back," while Robert stewed with, "She thinks I'm not enough." In the silence between them, small irritations turned into bigger conflicts, and an unspoken tension replaced the easy banter they once enjoyed. Why is this so common? Aging doesn't happen on a strict timetable, nor does it unfold uniformly within a couple. One person's body might feel the weight of the years earlier, prompting them to value comfort, routine, and low-key activities. The other might remain physically robust and mentally restless, eager to seize every opportunity. Add in factors like differing health conditions, mobility issues, or personal aspirations, And you have the recipe for emotional friction. When couples fail to acknowledge and communicate these differences, it can seem as though they're living in separate worlds, one racing ahead and the other trailing behind. But mismatched aging doesn't have to mean mismatched love. One way forward is through healthy compromise. Perhaps Karen can plan shorter, less physically demanding trips that still offer a taste of adventure, like local weekend getaways or scenic drives, so Robert can ease into travel without the stress of multi-flight journeys. Meanwhile, Robert can choose to skip certain excursions without making Karen feel guilty. Another strategy is to embrace parallel play, enjoying separate activities that align with each person's energy level, yet still carving out time to connect on shared interests. If Robert loves woodworking, Karen might find a corner of the workshop to read or help with small tasks. They aren't doing the same activity, but they're still in one another's presence, bridging the distance. Most importantly, talk about these changes. Let your spouse know that your yearning for new experiences or your need for quieter days isn't a personal rejection. It's simply how you're moving through this stage of life. If you're still with me, please comment number 5 below to show you've followed along. Now, let's pull everything together in a brief conclusion, reflecting on what these 5 hidden reasons mean for couples navigating their later years. We've taken a deep look at 5 hidden reasons that can lead seniors to quietly resent or even feel they hate their spouse. Unspoken resentments, buried over decades. Loss of identity, becoming more caretaker than partner. Physical and emotional distance creeping in under the same roof. The pressure cooker of too much time together after retirement. Different ways of aging, with one slowing down and the other still raring to go. But none of these issues have to remain deal breakers. Awareness is the first step. Once you recognize these subtle dynamics, you can approach them with empathy, open dialogue, and practical solutions, be it seeking counseling, planning structured alone time, or finding new ways to enjoy mutual interests. Ultimately, the golden years can still shine bright when both partners commit to navigating these changes together. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this series, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating honest, relatable content for seniors and those who love them. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which hidden reason resonated most with you, and how do you plan to address it in your own relationship? Keep the conversation going, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.